I had just moved back to San Francisco and was trying to kind of figure out my life. And I stumbled across Noisebridge, and it was just so amazing seeing all these smart and creative people finding a way to build things and make their own way through life.
This was the first hackerspace I ever went to, and it like exposed me to just like a maker community where you can show up with like whatever weird hobby you have, and then there's like people who will just chip in or like show you what they're up to and start conversations.
Yeah, here was the first Noisebridge location. It was right next to this market.
Yeah.
It had a payphone out front, and you could type in the code on the payphone, and it would open the gate for you.
When I first got here, it was like I didn't really know how to. I didn't know how to code yet, and I was kind of just learning how to hack basic things together. And I was like, kind of learning how to gradually make my first electronics, and then my first Arduino, and then 3D printing. And it was just like this fast track to just learning how to make things for yourself. It was the whole kind of ethos of self-empowerment.
Takes me back in here.
Yeah.
Some good times.
I was wondering, how did you guys actually like originally meet?
Through open source?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got introduced. Yeah.
Amazing.
Like you were already doing like some 3D game stuff, and then I was trying to teach kids how to code. Yeah, that's been a while. Yeah, we're approaching our 10-year. I mean, we may have passed our 10-year friendship anniversary.
We started working together over at Apple. I didn't manage to stay there too long. I encountered the idea of Ethereum, and it sort of wedged in my brain, and I wanted to figure out what it was. Then got introduced to the idea of MetaMask through the Ethereum Foundation's vision for Mist, really. It was their, not just their wallet because it's an application platform, it was a special web browser. I kept pulling on Dan to come join me, and at the time it felt like a long time before he did, but I think in retrospect it was probably like a few months.
It was my first software job. Like I had never made over 20K a year before Aaron got me my programming job. I was hustling like 5 jobs at once. I was screen printing, teaching chess, teaching a computer class at a local park center, and then thanks to generous people at hackerspaces helping me learn stuff and introducing. I eventually had a job, and then eventually, oh my God, a job doing like kind of our own idea, you know? Aaron had started it, and then I was like, maybe a web extension, and let's shove this out the door a little faster. Like I brought my improvisers, like sometimes you just have to shove it out the door spirit.
I was definitely getting stuck in some rabbit holes trying to build a web browser in the web browser. It was it was accomplishing the goal of bringing Ethereum to the web browser you already have, which the Mist project was not attempting to do. Dan came up with a smoother way to do it.
Ethereum transaction signing with like almost no UX. Okay, fortunately that seemed to actually be useful to a lot of people.
That was enough to let people start experimenting with the space. And
it's like, just take the key management off our shoulders so then we can do our own thing.
So did you set out to build a wallet?
I really just wanted to take what Mist allowed you to do and let you do it in the browser you already had. Okay. And then I wanted to be done with it and move on to something else.
How long do you think it would take?
It was solving this problem.
It's gonna be like a month or two, right?
I put out 3 months to get the thing done, and then it would, we'd have it solved and we'd move on to the next thing.
Aaron had made a version that worked in the browser, and then he kind of hacked it right into the web extension, and then we're like, it needs to look better. We got some fresh designs from a designer named Vlad Todorut, and we're just like, it was just one evening, it was one Friday night, we're just like, let's reskin the whole application. And at that point, the application was small enough that the two of us were just like, and like half of my time, like maybe a majority of my time was like, oh, he drew these icons that look funny. I need to make an icon generator that matches the designs. And that's where Jazzicons came from. Like, I didn't come up with the design for them. I was just modeling this designer's prototype. He's like, something looks like that. I was like, how do I capture the essence of what you did here?
And users were measured in the, I don't know, hundreds or something like that.
Yeah.
So it felt really easy to make changes.
Yeah, you could push breaking changes and we would never hear about it because we had no users at that time at all. Like literally we had to like beg people to use the application at all at hackathons or something. This is like early 2016? Yeah, right. So it was like before we publicly launched. We had like a 6 months of private beta where like, I took it to South by Southwest and we took it to this music hackathon. So we're just like pitching developers who are interested in music on blockchain and they'd never heard of it. No one had heard of it at that time. We're just like, like how the economics of music are broken? And they're like, yeah. And we'd all just like, sit back and ideate about that. And it was a very fun time. It's like the most fun when nobody has any preconceptions because people are just talking about like, yeah, what is your relationship to the recording industry or whatever? And like, what are the economic forces that define success? Like, are you waiting for a producer to discover you? Then you may be fighting for table scraps versus like what does it take to empower people to just say like, oh well, I make music and I have some people that like it, and so what can we do with that? How can that possibly support me?
Yeah, that was a common theme, was the disintermediation. I don't hear that word a lot anymore in the Web3 space, but that was like when we were looking for, okay, what are we going to build on top of Ethereum? It was like, okay, take some closed markets where the people are the one both producing the goods and consuming the goods. So Airbnb, Uber, all these things where they just needed a network, identity, and a reputation system. And then it's really just people connecting with people directly and not taking 30% out of the middle. And so those were all the use cases then. So then trying to connect it to like what makes sense to me is that you put a governance model on top of resources, and then it's more about how do we architect human collaboration for management of resources? And that's a more interesting problem to me.
Yeah, when you think about sort of the security parameters of security culture, or like the robustness, right, long term of MetaMask, like how do you think about that? How do you ensure that like it's going to be good?
That's a good question, because this is a pretty big change in I think our approach to MetaMask. At the beginning, it was not going to be a company or a for-profit entity or a vehicle for revenue in any form. It was just free software, basic infrastructure for Ethereum. And that made sense to me because I was worried about the influence of capital shaping how the software would influence user behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want your VC pressuring you to like turn your users into gambling addicts or something. Right?
Exactly.
Which would be really easy. It would be really easy to do that, and we haven't done it. Please appreciate the lack of malice. Like, people never notice the absence of malice, you know? You ever notice that? Yeah, virtue is invisible. Anyways, go on.
What changed my mind about how we do this is that suddenly MetaMask became very popular, and a lot of people were relying on it for their day-to-day job, for their well-being, so for some of their investments, and it became clear how important security was. Obviously, security is important, but it needs more than just like parables about, hey, security is important. It's important, right? It needs people answering emails when people express concerns about security. Thankfully, at MetaMask, because we have revenue, we were able to fund a very talented security team to keep everyone safe.
Is it big enough?
It could always be bigger, and we're hiring. But with so I'm really proud that we've been able to build up a security team worthy of keeping all the users safe.
MetaMask has grown a lot over the last couple years. I think you guys were at about 20 for so long until I checked back in. So you were at 20 probably until 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened?
And then
the team.
And then it got worse because 2020 started with like this big market retraction where for a second we weren't sure how much runway we had. And then we worked our butts off to ship a swaps product so we'd have some revenue. And then we were able to hire again. And thank goodness, because we've grown, we've like quadrupled since then. And we still no end of important work to be done in sight. We've grown a lot since then. We're having teams focus on security, each platform, different aspects of the application that we deem worthy of that kind of focus. It's getting real. And Aaron's even managing to grow his elite Lava Moat security team.
Yeah, so in addition to the security team for like the daily fighting the phishing and, being available to hear about any reports, setting up and managing the bug bounty program, we also have the security research team on the side. And that includes the red team that is actively testing to see if our software is as secure as we want it to be.
Where do you find all these people?
Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter, yeah.
They're super rare. Like the kinds of JavaScript experts that we need for some of the security jobs that we do. I mean, some are like general purpose, like anti-scam, investigate, counter hacker, Harry type, like Herman type.
I found Harry on Twitter.
Yeah. It's not a bad place to find security people.
We don't know when, but at some point, it's very likely that we'll see an immense amount of rapid growth again. Like, what do you want to accomplish before that?
So far, most of our focus and our usage has come from these the purely financial use cases, the blockchain, and I think there's so much more we could do with digital identity and cryptographic signatures, be it social or more casual environments than financial. And so I think it would be a fun time to explore those.
Yeah, I want to make sure that the next time there's a big wave of new users that they can read transactions like significantly better, and that we just have way more responsive infrastructure for either flagging scams just like way faster. Like right now we use a CDN, it's got latency. We got to just get all response times down a lot, and just to help decentralize the process of labeling and making everything comprehensible. I think way too much that people are doing today is just kind of the equivalent of blindsiding, and we make some of it kind of readable, but and then people popularize. They're like, oh yeah, watch out for setting approval for all on NFTs, and that's just not good enough at all. Like So I hope that by the time people, the next wave of like normal people are like entering crypto, I hope that we're making it much easier for them to understand what they're getting into, and hopefully that leads to them getting into things that they understand better. And so I hope that it's not like, it doesn't need to be like a singular wave per se. Like I don't want to make people think that there's like some certain thing like, oh yeah, if you just get on crypto now, like it's definitely all going up. Like, now the things that are beneficial to you may be things that you have local insight on. And I think that people should understand these are tools for making calculated decisions, whether it's to raise funds for yourself, take a bet on somebody else. I just user coherence,
What makes you most optimistic about the future?
It's the fact that there are still creative things happening. Like there are a lot of cool things that are in design and in development that just haven't even been tried yet. There's so many obvious things to try that just aren't easy to do off the shelf yet. And these tools are all about letting people try to make a new digital organization, try to make a cooperative, a new kind of company or government or whatever. And what makes me optimistic is that it's getting easier and easier to experiment, and people are getting hopefully inoculated against some of the grift. And if people get better warding off the scams and get better at understanding the tools, then maybe we'll actually have that positive impact that got us in it in the first place.
If ideally, like a sort of good world is one where like when you're contributing value, you get value, right? And so you're adding to the world and you're being rewarded for that, and there's an exchange of goods. Like if you're really good at something, you can do that thing and someone will pay you to do that thing, right? Because they're not as good at it, like at a most basic level, right? So we have the opportunity with tokens, like both fungible and non-fungible, to create like very localized systems, but also like not physically local, right? You can create networks of small groups of people or large groups of people or like massively large people to organize them, to coordinate them, and to have like this like very decentralized objective truth for whoever those groups of people are.
I think my interest and dedication to the Ethereum and related ecosystems doesn't come from like this asset is the future or these assets have figured it out and they've got the way, but that these systems allow us to experiment and keep trying new things. And so that gives me hope that we have this room for rapid experimentation, that we might find something that's more equitable and more valuable.
Like if people start learning how to value their own, what they have to offer, I think we have yet to see how much that's really worth.
What's the end game for MetaMask? Yeah, what's the end game for MetaMask?
Enabling people to fearlessly collaborate.
I like it. And solve our pressing issues, like climate change. That's my OKR. Until we solve it, I'm not happy. If you beat me to it, I'll be jealous.
Who's editing this? No.
What's your end game, Tay?
I want to make things safer, and I want to actually like transform people's actual lives, like not just like this imaginary life that's on the screen, like so that they are emotionally and physically better tomorrow than they are today. If you could only build one feature for MetaMask in the next 3 months, what would it be?
Yeah, I guess it would be like socially readable transactions.
Okay, Aaron. 3 months.
I'm going to put the make your own token button in there so the magic of tokens is dispelled and anyone can make their own. It's all monopoly money.
What if it's 3 years? One feature, like only one.
We only get one feature for 3 years, but we get 3 years to work on it. Yeah, that's where I'll go to the extensibility. Yeah, 3 years should be, that better be enough.
What do you mean by extensibility?
I mean, let people add their own account managers, custom blockchains, new ways of sharing, decentralized identity standards. Just let them write their own components, add them to the wallet. So now the wallet's just like a shell of its former self that you just put stuff in and interact with.
Oh, the MetaMask Snap system.
I like the sound of that.
Aaron, 3 years. That's 3 years is a...
Another button to make a second token. No.
This time, non-fungible token.
We messed up. That first button disappeared when you used it. Bad idea.
Some kind of object capability attenuation and delegation scheme.
We said no techno jargon.
No technical jargon.
Said that. We said we were going to keep this accessible, Aaron.
Okay.
But yeah, object capability security is an interesting research topic for the technically inclined.
We should allow people to do things and allow other people to do things.
Wait, is that what object capabilities means?
Yes.
Yeah, it means you have things. It's just saying like objects, in the Platonic sense. It's a thing you can think about. You should be able to do things with that. That's like, that's it. It's just like programmers we're thinking general, and so we have to use general words for it. It's very unfortunate.
It makes you sound so smart.
Oh, but it's actually just the simplest thing. Yeah, I know. We try so hard to say the simplest things. It's really weird sometimes. Yeah, so that's wallet development in a nutshell. We're just trying to make it simple. It seems simple from the inside, but actually, because it's built on complicated stuff, making it simple is really hard.
Favorite philosopher? Do you have like a quote or like an inspiring thing on your wall?
I don't know, probably Heraclitus, I guess.
Who's the guy in the barrel?
What?
Who's the guy in the barrel?
The guy in the barrel? Oh.
Diogenes.
Yeah, thank you.
What's the barrel story? What?
He was a curmudgeon, right? He lived in ancient Rome. and he lived in a barrel, and he'd tell everybody they were living lives of excess. He's really missing from the modern crypto ecosystem. We need Diogenes today.
This seems like something that we should do. This marketing team, get on this, please.
Yeah, we're gonna need a barrel. One barrel, please.
Okay. What is the stupidest thing you've done with your crypto?
Probably, YOLOing some contract deployments.
Oh.
I just published a contract and then was like, another couple $100. Whoops.
Not using a hardware wallet
Oh.
Highly recommended.
Did you lose some hot funds?
Thankfully not,
Oh, okay.
but it's
So you don't
always a
regret it.
risk.
Okay, all right, fair.
The stupidest thing was we had like a sort of this like test wallet. Somehow we put CryptoKitties in the test wallet, including like the Gen 1 or Gen 0.
Ooh, you had some Gen Zeros.
Yeah, in a wallet that like 30 people had the private key to, some of whom were no longer with the company.
Right, and you have no idea who took it now.
No, we actually had to rescue it, but all the ETH got stolen. It was a whole mission.
Yeah.
I guess the person who like decided to like be corrupt didn't like CryptoKitties.
I think we had the private key controlling 1 million Ether on the Ropsten test network, accidentally published to GitHub.
Oh.
So somebody took it.
No.
What?
It was fixed.
Wow. Sounds like some GitHub extractable value bots need some upgrades.
Yeah.
Took too long, too slow. Every once in a while, we like to publish some critical private keys to GitHub just to make sure you're on your toes.
Incentivized.
Yeah.
Make sure people are watching closely. I mean, just like
The gas wars.
The gas wars. Yeah, what's going? Yeah, how do we stop the gas wars? Oh yeah. Well, I think a lot of the gas wars come from the fact that people write these contracts that are first come, first serve. It's totally absurd to think that a fair distribution mechanism of anything is a rush to the door. So of course, then the person who's willing to pay the most gets it. And then we have like a increasingly unfair distribution mechanism. I think people have to just bite the bullet and accept the fact that you're gonna have to make some decisions about who's getting things. If you're trying to make things a little more fair, you're gonna have to say, okay, well, here's who I know, right? And it's gonna take a whole lot of us kind of identifying who we trust to create eventual distribution mechanisms that are actually fair. But yeah, I think a lot of this is just people publishing things and then trying to not take responsibility for distribution. And actually by choosing to not take responsibility, you give up that power and it just falls to the old rich get richer kind of mechanic. Gas war, any other ways to solve the gas wars?
Yeah, I mean, in some cases there's stuff you can keep off chain as long as possible, and so it's still backed by cryptography, and you send it to your friend or whoever directly, and then you just bring it on chain when you need to like solidify the action.
Counterfactual. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, we should normalize that. Smart contract devs, more counterfactual stuff, please.
what does counterfactual mean?
Counterfactual, yeah, right. It means what Aaron just said. Like it's something you could do, but you don't have to do it, right? So if I want to mint you an NFT or a token, that doesn't have to be on the blockchain. I could sign you a check that says it's good for one. And in fact, that's what most contract law is, right? You don't. If I say, oh yeah, I'd like to hire you to build a fence, we don't say, all right, well, let's go to the Supreme Court about it and get it official. Right? It's like that would be ridiculous, and the Supreme Court doesn't have time for that. I mean, maybe it'd be a better use of their time. Yeah. Anyways, so there's like, right. So we have local contract law. You can write a contract, we can agree to it, and then when you need to enforce it, like when I've defaulted. Counterfactual just means something that could be but isn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Final question: what sparks joy in your workday?
I don't know, maybe it sounds cheesy, but honestly, working with a bunch of creative and intelligent people and being able to like share our passions and yeah.
Stop it. Yeah, no, that's mine too. No, I mean also working on problems that, it's like, look, we may not have solved the problems, but like having a bunch of people, so they're smart and they're nice people, but they're also good-hearted people who like want to have a positive impact, right? And so like, wherever we take this thing, at least we did our best, you know? And that sparks joy for me.
Yeah, I think it's, I'm like constantly blown away by just like how like sort of uniquely talented and like uniquely brained people there are. Like the unique giga brains of this company. But it's like you learn new things about everyone on the team all the time, and what they believe in and how they think about things is different, but it's also the same. Like it's all like, I don't know, it's coming from a place of like wanting to be better and wanting to do good for other people and wanting to improve the world and wanting to like make a difference. And like how people sort of like think about that or approach it is endlessly fascinating and inspiring. And honestly, yeah, really though, it's like we have some fantastically talented people that are like way smarter than me doing things. And that gives me hope as well.
Here's to another 6 years. I mean, hopefully it doesn't take that long, though, right, to finish it. Yeah.
Now we can move on to what we were going to do.
Yeah, and actually make that DApp, and that solves the economy. Cool.
And climate change.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can beat that 6-year timeline then.
Yeah, let's go. You guys ready?
See you then.
Let's do it.
Cut.
Is that a good closing?
I'm happy with
Dude,
that. That feels like a good.